got 400 grams of Einkhorn here. We are gonna whip out an Einkhorn sourdough loaf because people have been asking, and I haven't done Einkhorn in a long time. If you don't know, that's where I got started, was with the Einkhorn. There we go. We're gonna do 80%. I might even go a little lower than 80% for the Einkhorn. It behaves more like a soft grain than a hard grain. Yeah, it has some gluten in there, but it's definitely on the softer side. On the absorption chart, it would go in there with soft wheat and spelt. Actually, I think Einkhorn and spelt would make a beautiful loaf 50-50. This is going to be sourdough. I am on a race against the clock because I work at 3. 23. Oops, 66. Now we need some cold water. 250 grams of cold water. We're just gonna break that up a little bit so it cools down right away in the cold water. Now we're gonna add our cold starter. This starter is Einkhorn and rye, mostly Einkhorn. 66, 40, 80, we'll go around 80. 96, okay. I am just not a measurer when it comes to the starter. Flour, water, salt, 8 grams, which is 2% of 400. Anytime you're calculating a percent, it's off the flour. 2%, since it's fresh lemon juice. Let's put our flour in. Like mashed potatoes. This is what mashed potatoes consistency looks like in the bread dough. Next, we're gonna need some cold water. This dough is starting to look a little bit smoother. It's starting to stretch around the bowl. It does not look like mashed potatoes any longer. Notice. See how it's stretching? You can see the trail that gets left. That's a good sign of gluten development for an Einkhorn bread. Okay. This dough is pretty wet, which means I'm not going to do the lamination right away. I might do it after the bulk ferment. Einkhorn is just so sticky. I forgot how much I don't like that part. High, due to its very sticky, gross dough. Okay. And then we will scoop out the rest. So even though this is really wet for an Einkhorn, you see how far it stretches without breaking? That's a sign of good gluten development. Back, and I told him I'd do one soon. But see what I mean? It's just so sticky. Even with the wet hands, you're gonna have dough on you. So annoying. This is part of why I don't do 100% Einkhorn. Because I don't like it. I don't like the sticky. But I love the flavor. And And I like it better at like a 25% usage. But since someone asked, I thought I'll get it done before I go on vacation so I don't forget. See what I mean? But it's got good stretch to it. It's just so darn sticky. Ugh. All right. What a mess. So let the dough rest. I mean, it's not going to get better. Yeah, it's not going to get better. You could drop the hydration to 75% if you wanted. Or even 70. We're just gonna let that sit. If you're gonna make einkorn dough, 100% einkorn, you might as well get used to the faces. It's beautiful, it's just such a mess. Okay, let's try this with the oil and a bench scraper. Okay. Yeah, the water's not really as helpful with this one as the olive oil is. Oops, that was a bit much. Oh well. Totally different lamination than any of the other doughs, right? Ugh. I don't like einkorn. This is why I don't make it anymore. It's such a pain in the butt. So if this looks too complicated for you and a real pain to work with, it is a pain to work with. You don't have to do any of this. You can just mix up the dough, grease your pan. I would say put a parchment liner in there and let it sit there until it looks like it's ready to bake it, and then bake it. Einkorn is pretty good for that. Okay, getting this into a ball this close to work isn't really going to happen. So we're not gonna. Just gonna stick it in there and put the lid on it. Don't quit on me yet. This is gonna turn into a pretty good bread, even though it's annoying. Okay? So we're just gonna put the lid on it, and I'll see you guys in about 5 or 6 hours. Welcome back. Okay, it's been about 5 hours, 6 hours, something like that. This is our Einkhorn sourdough, and we can notice that it looks very different from before. And you can see how we lost that beautiful gluten structure with the ferment. You see that?
Ow.
Hi.
Look at them.
You all right?
I always get rid of this.
Okay.
Because they're too big.
Okay.
My dad stopped step stool. Ew. I
Ew.
would not be touching that.
Well, I hear you. Ew for this, huh?
I'm not going to be touching it.
Alright. So since I didn't get to do a whole lot of stretch and folds earlier, we're just kind of trying to do some now. And now we have a little bit of structure back in our loaf. Can you tell that? Okay. Just like so.
I thought you were going to do that.
Do-
So it goes down.
Do what?
Bring it down before you put it in.
Bring that down? No, I don't. I don't bring it down. There's the trick.
Wait,
You
why?
ready for this? You want to see how I do it?
Why?
I'm going to take the dough and try to get it as much as I can. And I'm literally just going to flop it in there because that's Einkhorn for you. Okay? Boop, boop, boop.
Oh,
Just gonna put a lid on this. And then we're going to let it rise while our oven is preheating the oven. This is the 100% Einkhorn sourdough. And you can see it's a very wet, sloppy mess, right? It will still be a good bread. It's just the way Einkhorn works. I think some of my best Einkhorns have been where I just poured like almost a batter into this and it baked and it turned out amazing. So can't wait for that. We're gonna bake this like a Dutch oven. So I'm gonna put the other large cast iron pan upside down on top of it. Just like this. Okay. Now we have a Dutch oven. Do you see that? A Dutch oven is just a container that is closed in. It means that any of the steam that bakes off from your very wet bread dough is going to stay inside the container, keeping the crust wet for longer so it can rise better. And then eventually it will crust over. So I'm going to bake this at 450 for 30 minutes covered, and then we'll take a temperature of the inside of the dough. And when I say the inside, we mean the absolute middle. So if you have your loaf, right, we want the middle from top to bottom here, and we also want the middle from side to side, absolute middle, in the very center of your dough. That's the coolest spot. Once that's cooked, then you know you're done. Okay? There. Now we can put it. This is the 100% Einkhorn sourdough, my Italian bread recipe. All Einkhorn. The lowest hydration we've all been waiting for. Dun, dun, dun. All that pain in the butt to work with. Sticky Einkhorn. It's gorgeous. It's so soft and tender. I can feel that on the outside. Don't get discouraged when your einkorn is really sticky and doesn't want to cooperate and do all the things that the wheat does. It doesn't do that. It works really great, I would say, at 80% hydration, which is what this is, with the Udain. No vital wheat gluten. This is beautiful. I mean, let's get some butter on it. So I know I do mostly a starch-based, mostly plant-based diet, but butter is what goes on my bread. The complex flavors of a sourdough einkorn are, I want to say unbeatable, but they're right up there with the rye. It's just, and that's what I love about swapping the grains, right? If you have one base, such as my Italian bread base, and you do wheat one time, and spelt another, einkorn another, rye another, spelt and kamut a different day, maybe swap the durum for some barley or some amaranth. I've done both of those so far. The flavors keep changing and you don't get bored, you know? There's nothing boring about this. Now, that said, 100% einkorn bread, that's expensive, okay? Einkorn is what, like $3.85 a loaf versus like less than $2 a loaf. Whew, that was a toughie, because it's just so soft. Okay. So I got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 slices. Making this bread was not my idea of a good time. Just saying. That's where I started. It's not where I finished. But what I do love einkorn for is anything that calls for all-purpose flour. Like if you're converting a recipe and it calls for all-purpose flour, einkorn makes an excellent all-purpose flour. And I love to feed my sourdough starter einkorn. All my loaves get just a little bit of that special, complex flavor that is only found in the einkorn. And there we have it. It's expensive, so I don't want to be using it all the time. There we go.